Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Amy, and today I want to start off with a huge thank you. My channel now has just over 200 subscribers, and I need to tell you how grateful I am to all of you who've subscribed and who spend time making food with me every week. I started this channel so I could teach myself how to do more than boil water and order takeout, and also to teach myself how to make videos, editing, all of that. And I'm still very much in the beginnings of my journey for both of those things, but I'm just so happy that you're all here hanging out with me, making great food and watching me stumble around learning how to film and edit videos. So to every single one of you, thank you so much. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. Today we're making a cake that I hated when I was younger, but now I love it so much I want to kick myself for not giving it a chance. I think it was the fact that it's a cake, which is always great, but it's also vegetables, and that just did not sit right with me when I was 10. But now it's one of my favorites, so let's get cooking and wonder why we ever turned up our noses at this most decadent of desserts, the carrot cake. First things first, let's preheat the oven to 350 and get our cake pans ready. Spray 2 9-inch cake pans lightly with oil and then line the bottom with parchment paper. If you have the pre-cut parchment rounds, that would make this really easy, but I don't have those. So I'm just cutting them out of the sheets I have on hand. When that's done, set those to the side for later. The next thing we need is to grate or shred up 3 lightly packed cups of carrots, our signature ingredient. You can do this by hand with something like a box grater, but I'm using my food processor for speed. I started just peeling and washing 4 carrots, but I ended up needing to get out 2 more when I started measuring after shredding them up. That left me with just a little bit of leftover carrot, but I can just toss that on a salad or something. So I would recommend using 5 to 6 medium-sized carrots for the 3 cups, although you could probably get away with 4 if they were ginormous carrots. After the shredded carrots are all measured out, just put them in a bowl and set those aside too. Next step, we need to add our dry ingredients to a large bowl. Add 2 cups of flour, and for this recipe, it's important to spoon the flour into the measuring cup and not scoop it to avoid the flour being packed into the cup. Add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon and a half of ground cinnamon, a half teaspoon of ground ginger, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and then a half teaspoon of salt. Give all this a quick whisk so they're evenly combined, and that's it for the dry ingredients. Phew, next step. Now we have the wet ingredients and we need another large bowl. Pour in 3/4 of a cup of oil, and I'm using avocado oil. Add in 4 large eggs. I cracked mine in a small bowl, so if I got any shells in there, it'd be easier to fish them out. Add in 1½ cups of packed brown sugar and a ½ cup of regular granulated sugar. Next is a little secret ingredient, which is a ½ cup of unsweetened applesauce. Yes, this cake has fruits and vegetables in it. Last is a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and that's everything for the wet ingredients. Whisk all this together really well so everything is fully combined and both of the sugars are completely melted into the liquids. If you see some little brown bits in the batter, those are little flecks of molasses from the brown sugar. These little bits of molasses will melt down just fine as the cake bakes, so no worries there. Next, add the 3 cups of shredded carrots from earlier into the wet ingredients. Fold them in with a spatula or a big spoon until they're completely incorporated and evenly distributed throughout. They tend to want to clump together, so just break apart the carrot clumps until everything looks nice and evenly mixed. Now grab the dry ingredient bowl from earlier and pour all the wet ingredients into the dry ingredient bowl. They're a little heavy, but you don't have to add them in batches or anything, just dump them in there. Using a spatula or a spoon, fold the wet and dry ingredients together just until they're mixed. We don't want to use a whisk here, and we really need to be careful not to overmix at this point because we don't want to activate the gluten in the flour. Activating that gluten will make our cake too chewy, and it could even make it a little tough. We want that cake to be nice and soft and tender when it's finished baking. When the batter's just combined, pour it into the cake pans that we prepared earlier. You want half the batter in one, half in the other. It doesn't have to be perfect, just try and get it as close as you can so the layers of the cake look like they're the same size and thickness when we put them together later. Bake these at 350 for 30 to 35 minutes or until the tops are just set and a toothpick inserted into the center of the cake comes out clean. Let these cool in their pans for 25 minutes before we mess with them at all. These cakes look and smell amazing. After the 25 minutes is up, move them gently to cooling racks and let them cool completely, like 100%. And don't forget to remove the parchment from the bottom. They'll still be pretty warm, so please be careful not to burn yourself when you do this part. When the cakes are completely cooled, it's time to make our cream cheese frosting. And this is so easy and it only takes just a few minutes. To a large bowl or to your stand mixer bowl, add 1 8-ounce block of softened cream cheese. If you're using a regular mixing bowl like I am here, use a whisk or a hand mixer to whip up the cream cheese until it's nice and fluffy. And check this out, I got a hand mixer. It's so exciting, I love this thing. If you're using a stand mixer though, use the paddle attachment and scrape down the sides when you need to, just to make sure everything incorporates. When the cream cheese is fluffy, add a half cup or 1 stick of softened butter. Whip these together until they're both fluffy and evenly combined and you don't see any pieces of cream cheese in there. Add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and now it's time to add 2 cups of powdered sugar. I added them 1 cup at a time and started whipping these in kind of slowly. Powdered sugar can and will become a mushroom cloud of dust that coats your entire house if you're not careful. Then just mix these all up until the frosting is smooth and silky and all of that sugar is fully incorporated. Look at that frosting. This is perfect. Time to frost our cake. Move 1 cake layer to a plate or a cake stand if you have one. Using a little over half a cup of the frosting, make an even layer on top of this cake. You can use a spatula or a frosting knife if you have one, but this is a homemade cake, so it really doesn't have to be perfect. Just do the best you can not to dig into the cake or get crumbs incorporated into the frosting. When you have that all spread out as even as you can, place the second cake on top of this one, making sure to align them so the cake doesn't look like it's leaning over. Now use the rest of the frosting on the top and the sides of the cake. Just keep going until you use all of it. This recipe, it makes the perfect amount of frosting for this cake, but you're going to need every little bit. And our cake is done. Okay, so while this is perfectly edible right now, and it will taste amazing, this is a really boring looking cake. So let's decorate this a little to make it look more pretty and enticing and less like a cream cheese frosted hockey puck. I have some pecans in my pantry, and pecans work beautifully with a carrot cake. I pulled out a handful of them, maybe about half a cup, and we're going to give these a good chop. We want the pecan pieces to be smaller but not completely pulverized. When they're all chopped up, sprinkle them around the edges of the cake. You can put some in the middle too if you like, or anywhere really. Just decorate however you like your cake to look. I also sprinkled a little bit of the leftover shredded carrot in the middle for some color, because even with the pecans, the cake is still pretty millennial beige. But the little pop of orange is exactly what it needed. Now we have a cake. This is just lovely, isn't it? I almost don't want to cut into it, but I think my husband really wants to try this. This cake will store in the fridge for about 4 to 5 days. You can also make this into a rectangular cake too if you prefer that to a layered cake. Just spray a 9x13 baking pan and pour all of the batter into it instead of splitting it up. Bake it for 35 to 45 minutes and then just frost the top when it's completely cool. So this cake is also absolutely decadent. It's soft and tender and moist just like we wanted, and the spiced flavor from the cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg is perfect. The frosting was the ideal amount too. Sometimes cakes just seem to have way too much frosting on them, almost like the cake is just a vehicle for the frosting. But this is great, enough to add that tangy cream cheese frosting flavor, but it doesn't overpower the cake, which is supposed to be the star of this show. The pecans were also the right choice. That slight bitterness of the nuts balances out the sweetness of the frosting beautifully. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please like and subscribe and leave me a comment if you enjoyed making carrot cake with me. Stay tuned every Sunday for more comforting and home-cooked recipes, and don't forget to come hang out on Wednesdays. Currently, we're making foods from popular movies, TV shows, and video games, and right now we're making stuff from Fallout. But my Fallout food isn't 200 years old and heavily irradiated, and it tastes great. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back here next Sunday for another cozy home-cooked meal. Bye!